Let's learn how to do sine, cosine, and tangent on the unit circle. The sine of 45 degrees. To find that, first find these ends. Notice point T. Remember, this is the y-axis, and so if we want the y-coordinate of that point, it's this mark right here. Insert a triangle that's familiar to you, such as a 45-45 triangle in this case. Keeping in mind that this is the unit circle and has a radius of 1, you can find the missing sides that you need. Remember, we want the y-coordinate of the terminal point, which is this distance, but that's the same as this distance. And as you'll recall from the studies of 45-45, 90 triangles, we can get from the hypotenuse to the leg by dividing by radical 2. Remember, we're not allowed to have radicals in the denominator, so make sure you simplify. And that is the height of that triangle, and therefore the sine value is the y-coordinate, which is that number. Second example of 4, cosine of 210. Cosine means the x-coordinate of the terminal point. Here's where 210 terminates. Here's the x-axis. So this is the x-coordinate I'm looking for. Insert a familiar triangle, such as a 30, 60, 90 in this case. You can tell it's a 30, 60, 90 because 210 degrees goes 30 degrees past 180, as you can see in the diagram. The hypotenuse or radius is 1, and just use the rules to find the x-coordinate. This distance is the x-coordinate, but as you'll recall from your study of 30, 60, 90 triangles, the short leg is always half of the hypotenuse, and the long leg is always radical 3 times the short leg, and so that tells us the distance we're looking for. The cosine, being the x-coordinate of the terminal point, is therefore negative radical 3 over 2. You'll notice that the green mark is in the section of the x-axis where negative coordinates are. Third example, sine of 270. Where does 270 terminate? Here's a quick reminder of things from middle school. A long time ago for many of you. This point, as you know, is 1, 0, and this point is 0, 1. These points should be pretty obvious to you. Hit pause if you need a moment to process. The thing that's worth pointing out here is despite the fact that unit circle diagrams appear so huge in the homework, the unit circle is actually quite small. So point T, the terminal point of 270, is, as you can see from that diagram, 0, negative 1. Since the sine is the y-coordinate, then the sine is negative 1. Last problem is a tangent. Tangent is a little different because you have to divide the sine divided by the cosine. That's the rule for tangent problems. So here's 30 degrees, here's my familiar triangle, and based on all the information we know about a 30, 60, 90 triangle, we know the sine and the cosine. The bottom line here is this: when you're doing a tangent problem, you're going to have to find the sine and the cosine first. And then to get the tangent answer, do the division. Reminder from elementary school, when dividing fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom. Multiplying straight across and simplifying gives you the answer, but let's not forget that radicals should not end up in the denominator for a final answer, so make sure you rationalize your denominators. Two more examples, actually. Tangent is sine over cosine. Here's where 225 terminates. Put in a familiar triangle, such as a 45, 45, 90 in this case. You'll notice that 225 degrees is past 180 by exactly 45 degrees. Remembering that the hypotenuse or radius is 1, we can find the lengths of the legs using our 45, 45, 90 rules and divide sine divided by cosine. I could do a division problem here, but remember, there's not much need because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and anything divided by itself is 1. And that is the answer for the tangent here. Tangent of 270 degrees is a kind of a unique problem, not unique, but very interesting because of where the terminal point of 270 is. Remember, this is the point 0, -1. The tangent is the sine divided by the cosine. The sine is the y-coordinate, and the cosine is the x-coordinate. Now, you'll recall from previous math classes, hopefully, that you cannot divide by 0. There's no such thing. This thing does not exist and is therefore undefined. So watch out for the undefined tangents. And thank you so much for watching.